Today, we are going to talk about a dungeon build for Monk. And I think this is one of the best builds that you can use for clearing dungeons. It has a pretty good damage and you can buff your party members like a Crusader with the new Inner Sanctuary. By the way, I lowered my resonance to 1700 and I removed most of my armor penetration normal gems to test the build, and it works great. At the end of the video, you can see a dungeon clear with these stats. Now, let's start talking about the build with the skills we are using. First, we have Shield of Zen with 2 essences. One of them is the new main hand essence we just got with the latest update. This one adds a burn effect to our primary attacks, which deals extra damage, and the other one is the new chest essence that increases our movement speed by 40% for 4 seconds. After that, we have Mystic Allies with a main hand essence. These Mystic Allies use Explosive Light and Mystic Wind to attack enemies, and they burn their target as well. And next we have Inner Sanctuary with the new head essence. This new Inner Sanctuary increases your critical hit chance by 25% if you are alone, and for each nearby ally, critical hit chance is increased by 5% up to 40%, and I'm using the new offhand as well. Within the Inner Sanctuary, you and your allies deal 15.2% more damage. And our last skill is Mystic Strike. And we have 2 essences for this one. One of them is a Shoulder Essence, which increases our primary attack speed by 30% for 6.4 seconds. Other than that, I have a Legs Essence too, but I'm going to talk about that when I'm showing all of the essences, because this one has a couple of options. And of course, I'm using Fists of Thunder as our primary attack. Now, let's talk about which set items you should use with this build. First of all, 4 pieces of Vithu's Urges is a must-have because we deal most of our damage with primary attacks and we need all the attack speed we can get, and this set gives us just that +2 piece effect. Increases the duration of beneficial effects, which we need as well. And for the other 4 pieces, I think you should use 2 pieces of Banquet of Eyes because you always apply a burn effect with your primary attacks thanks to the new Shield of Zen essence, so you get a 15% damage buff from that all the time. And for the other 2, you can just use 2 pieces of Shalboss to increase your primary attack damage by 15%. So I think you should use 4 pieces of Vithu's Urge, 2 pieces of Banquet of Eyes, and 2 pieces of Shalboss. Now, we can go over legendary items to make things clear. For the headpiece, we have Roving Sanctuary. Inner Sanctuary now moves with you, increasing your critical hit chance and that of your allies. Every nearby ally increases critical hit chance further. For the chest, we have Ease and Clarity. Gaining Shield of Zen increases the movement speed of you and your allies by 40% for 4 seconds. For the shoulders, we have Feline Defiance. Mystic Strike now also increases your primary attack speed by 30% for 6.4 seconds. And for the pants, you have a couple of options. If you are alright with not using dash skills, since we got a 40% movement speed buff from Shield of Zen, we don't really need any dash effects, so you can use Gurgle's Familiarity or Lingering Incense. If you want to keep your dash animations, you can just use Branding Bond, but your damage output will be a little lower if you go with that. For the main hand, we have Kindled Unity. Shield of Zen now attaches fire blessings to you and your allies, allowing your primary attacks to ignite enemies. For the offhand, I'm using Twitching Palm. Fists of Thunder's first strike now become empowered with lightning, emitting bolts that each deal 6,000 damage. By the way, if you are not killing the bosses fast enough, you can use Respite Sigh instead of this one. And for the additional main hand, we have Shatterspall. Mystic Allies now summon 2 Spirit Allies that utilize Explosive Light and Mystic Wind to attack enemies. Lastly, for the additional offhand, we are using Thrumming Ferocity. Within the Inner Sanctuary, you and your allies deal 15.2% more damage. And that's the whole build. Since this is a primary attack-based build, any reforge bonuses that buffs your primary attack damage and your attack speed in general will improve the build. Other than that, I'm using Weaver Paragon Tree with this build, and for the point distribution, definitely max out your damage and armor penetration for this one. Now, I will leave you guys with the dungeon gameplay. Enjoy!